start with personal development, and then we're going to segue a bit into time management. And what if I told you there's Pinterest involved? Would that pique your interest? Pinterest is a major time sucker. I know my friends are like, man, I get lost in there. I've got my wine, and I'm gone for like an hour and a half. But I know when I go in, I'm like, all right, I've got 20 minutes. I set a timer, go. But I'm actually going to talk about how you can actually use Pinterest for personal development as well. But starting with personal development, I want to get you guys in the right frame of mind first. What is the point of personal development? And the whole concept behind it is to renew your mind and to get yourself into a place to build a business. A lot of us have no experience with this whatsoever. And one of the best things you can decide to do, one of the wisest things you can do, is learn from those who have already done it. You want to become a student of the masters who went before you. So who are some of the people you admire in your life? I would actually encourage you to get out a pen and paper and write down that list of people who have done what you want to accomplish. One of the biggest things I tell my team is don't seek advice from the janitor if you're wanting to build a multi-million-dollar business. And that's typically what we do, and it brings us down to such a terrible level because we go and we talk about our goals and our dreams to people who do not understand what you are trying to accomplish and probably cannot dream big themselves. So talk with the people, your upline, people who have gone before you. These are the people you need to put yourself in line with and find out what it is that they did. And I can tell you that there probably is not a leader that is making over 6 figures in this industry that will tell you they do not do personal development every day. And some of them, they will tell you they actually spend a couple hours a day doing personal development. So I'm actually not going to talk on this one too long. I'm actually going to give you a couple of the biggest ones that have influenced me in my life. And one of them was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I actually read that when I was about 16 years old. And that book, I can promise you, is what set me on pace to be a purple presenter with Younique and gunning for black. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you don't understand how money flows and the power of network marketing, that is like seriously the best place to start and find out what network marketing and direct sales can really do for you and get you out of that rut, get you to your goals and dreams, because honestly, a 40-year job probably is not going to get you to where you want to be. And if you're in this room, I'm willing to bet you're a big thinker. You're already a big dreamer. So you need to get yourself in line with those who dream big and live big as well. Again, his book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One of the second books I read that had a massive impact on my life was The Magic of Thinking Big. I remember watching my dad read these books when I was growing up. That man, he's done personal development before anybody had really a label for it. I think Zig Ziglar, I mean, just shells of John Maxwell and all these awesome leaders. But one of the first books he handed me was The Magic of Thinking Big. And if you're struggling to really dream and wrap your head around the idea of what this business can do for you and that you are free to dream, because this world will cut your dreams down so fast when you share them. And I will encourage you to also be cautious of it, who you share your dreams to. A lot of times you gotta set yourself up for success. If you're talking to people who do not dream big, they're just gonna cut you down. And you've been taught, get your head out of the clouds, stop daydreaming, don't do this, don't do that. Magic of Thinking Big is gonna draw that inner child right back out of you, and you're gonna be dreaming and coming up with great ideas, and you're gonna draw back on that creativity you had when you were a kid. And I would highly encourage to maybe find some other books that are similar and really dive into that if you're really struggling to get out of the everyday thinking and dreaming big. Can I be debt-free? Yeah, you can be debt-free. Can a business like this get me there? Absolutely. But a lot of people don't believe that it's even possible. Most people believe they will actually die with debt. And I don't want to be that person. I dream of actually helping others pay off debt. But it starts with personal development. Another one I would suggest is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is the next book that my dad handed me. And I can guarantee if you If you capitalize on what is in this book and become professional at building relationships, you will be black status in this business. It all depends on how you build, how you connect. One of the biggest questions I get from people is, where do I find people? Well, look around you. Your husband's a people, his boss is a people, your boss is a people. The key is learning how to connect with the ones we're already around, and not hoping that fish will just jump in our boat and we don't have to use any skill set to connect with people. Actually, John Maxwell's another math strategist, but I highly recommend starting with the core of Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Again, that's like another old book, The Magic of Thinking Big and How to Win Friends and Influence People. I have my dad's original copies. They are falling apart. They are highlighted to death. But they're such oldies and they're goodies, but you can even pick them up, watch them in garage sales, because I have found several that are like hardcover, old, and I just scoop them up and I'll give them out to people. But another thing to encourage you in the personal development before I get into the business development side, because the two kind of get mixed, and I believe you need to work on your personal development before you should even start going into business development. You want to dream big, you want to have a goal, you want something to feed on before you start diving into your business. So get that magic of thinking big, find out what your why is and why you want to build this business. And then you want to get into learning about, okay, now how do I build my business as a real leader? What are the leaders doing in this industry to build their business? My number one favorite book is Network Marketing for Facebook right now. It is by Brian Carter and Jim Lipkin. Jim's become actually a good friend of mine and mentor on building on Facebook. Creates a really good system that's simple to follow to build your business and get like a really good, simple system going. And then you can capitalize on it by doing those fun videos like you're seeing on the screen behind me. And those are going to have such a stronger impact if you have a good basis to work with. Another one is Eric Worre's GoPro. If you're not really familiar with how network marketing and direct sales really works, this is going to lay that groundwork for you. And really, it's going to feed on what you've learned prior about building your imagination. It's going to get you so excited. It's like, okay, now I've got this dream, and now I've got the system to do it. I understand, okay, this is how I am going to do it. And I can tell you those books are what freed me. I knew I didn't want to be that person that was going to work 40 years in a job. I have a hard time sitting still for very long in anything. I usually pick up a hobby and I drop it about as fast as I pick it up. I wanted to be with people, I wanted to be networking, I wanted something fresh, I wanted something new. And I knew network marketing was something that could do that for me. So that was my dream from 16 years old, to be in network marketing or direct sales. And then my dad really, I can't say enough about him. He put me on a good path for that, and I owe a lot to my dad for being an example to me during that. But I know some of you are going, okay, I can't afford to be just dropping money on books right now. I don't have cash. So I'm going to throw some things at you that are cheap, affordable, that you can even just get started on while you're starting to build your business, because there's some really great resources out there and people don't know where to get them. YouTube for starters. It's not just for silly videos and people doing those fail videos. My husband's addicted to those. It drives me absolutely crazy. On lunch break, I know he's on lunch because like from noon to 1, it's like fail video after fail video. My text messages are blowing up and it just cracks me up. But I use my YouTube actually to listen to people like Jim Rohn. There are some fantastic free audios that you can plug into from some of these people who have gone before us, and he literally has gone before us. He is gone now, but Jim Rohn is absolutely fantastic, and he's got tons of free content on there. Danny Johnson is another one who's really good about getting on YouTube and putting out free content. In fact, she has a free book on her website right now, and it is one of the best I've ever read. Amazon Unlimited. I would look into getting that because a lot of these books, like the one I mentioned, Network Marketing for Facebook, you can pick it up for free if you are on Amazon Unlimited. Audible, Amazon and Audible sync up with each other. You could buy audiobooks and your phone. You can listen to audiobooks whenever you want. For me, I literally have something going almost all day. I don't enjoy watching TV, so while I'm folding laundry, my least favorite chore, I have an audiobook going. When I am in the shower, there is an audiobook going. When I'm doing dishes, I have an audiobook going. I'm constantly filling my mind with the leadership I admire. And I would encourage you to take a look at some of the others that are available. A lot of times it'll say, okay, if you like this, here are our suggestions. You want to find the leadership that speaks to your style. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people are crass, some people are quiet. And you want to find the one that speaks most to your soul, and you're like, yeah, that's what I aspire to be like. Audible is actually, I want to say it's like only $14.99 a month, and you can plug right in and you get some really expensive audios that you pay a lot of money for at Barnes & Noble for very little money. And keep in mind, you want to save all those receipts because those are all tax write-offs. So I'm going to go ahead and segue a bit into Pinterest and using Pinterest for personal development and time management. This is the number one objection I get from teammates. I do not have time. And it's usually for moms with little kids. So who has younger kids in the room? Okay, awesome. Won't be talking to myself here. I'm going to kind of share a bit about what I did, and hopefully you guys can glean something from this on your own and apply this to your style of life. For me, one day I just told my husband, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm trying to do kindergarten homeschool with my son. I've got a daughter I cannot take an eye off of for a second. This morning, within 45 minutes, she dumped an entire thing of bubbles on her head. She got sand in her hair. She went streaking outside naked. I found out because she was screaming because she was trying to go down a very hot slide. It was like downhill, and I'm like trying to get her out the door. I'm still waiting for the babysitter to show up. I'm like, but that is my lifestyle, and it is busy, and there isn't much we can do about it. So I had to stop, and after talking with my husband, I'm like, okay, what are some things we can do right now to free up some time so I can build my business? And I didn't want to make my kids my excuse for why I didn't have time to build when they were my why on why I wanted to build. So one of the things I noticed was with my kids, I had this knack for demolishing a room in half a second. You know what I'm talking about. And so I finally sat down, I'm like, you guys don't need that many toys, you really don't. And I went on a toy purge. But first I hopped on Pinterest and I got some ideas. I'm like, okay, what are toys my kids this age should be playing with? Whatever didn't fit their age bracket, gone. I've got plenty of friends with little kids. They went in a bucket. They're out of here. I also looked up some great ways of organizing and using these like 2x4 shelves that my husband's now building for me to store the extra toys because they're not all going to be out at once. One of the things I was doing all the time was just cleaning laundry and toys. I'm like, this is where most of my day is: laundry, toys, dishes. I'm like, and my day is done. And I did not get to spend the time with my kids that I wanted to, and that is the whole reason I am building my business, and that's not happening now. So toys went an absolute toy purge. Salvation Army, garage sale. I sent my kids to my mom's one day, and I'm just like, we're going at it. I opened up the closet. I left my son's favorite toys in his closet, but I actually have a lock on the closet now. He cannot get in there without mommy. So now it's limited. Okay, you want 2 toys? Pick out your 2 toys, take them out. Other stuff needs to go in. So I had control, and they weren't just tearing the place apart if mommy had to take a phone call. Laundry. This was probably the worst one for me. Okay, I'm sitting there, I'm like, there's 7 days in a week. How many pairs of clothes do my children really need? My son alone had 6 coats at 5 years old, not even. And I get this big bucket from this mother. She has 4 older boys, and I get a massive ton of hand-me-downs from her. And even after I go through them, I still had too much stuff. And I'm like, you know what, it's time to give it away. My son does not need 6 coats. So 1, let's go bless somebody else who could use these coats. And 2, now we're not going to be having a fight at the door because he can't decide which coat he wants to wear walking out the door. How many know getting out the door of kids is literally a task and a half? You're almost always late, and it's because of those little munchkins. So clothes went. Got rid of a ton of clothes. You do not need 7 pairs of khakis. Narrowed it down to 1 pair of khakis, a couple pairs of shorts, a couple pairs of pants, and you're gonna outgrow all these anyway. So now my laundry load isn't piling up. I'm spending less time on my laundry. But I got all of these tips by hopping on Pinterest, and I set a timer because I know I can get lost in Pinterest. And I said, all right, sweetheart, you got 20 minutes, go. And I went on there and I looked up all the best mommy bloggers for organization, and I found tips on how to build that shelf for the basement that I could put all the toys in, so we have a rotation of toys. They're not getting bored and into mischief. I found tips on doing laundry. One of the tips that helped us is you pick either one day per week to do laundry, or each day is a different one. So Monday could be your husband's clothes, Tuesday's your clothes, Wednesday's your one child's clothes, and so on throughout the week. And maybe Saturday is, okay, wash all those sheets, get them all done, wash the pillows on the couch, whatever it is. And that has helped me a ton because then I don't have that buildup, that amount of clothes. I can't let it build up because if I let it go too long, my kids are going to be out of clothes because I eliminated all those. So there is no more excuses of, oh, well, they've got plenty in their drawer to last them. No more mountain. Another thing that helped was getting a planner. I mean, I think there's actually a passion planner. Did you give that one away yet? No. Oh, ladies are gonna love that thing. Passion planner is absolutely amazing. So is Erin Condren. Get a planner, get a pen and pencil, and start plotting out your time. What is it that means the most to you? Backtrack a little bit. When you get out your planner, what I would love to see you do, and I know this is going to pay off, would be just to write down what are your 3 priorities in your home and what's taking up your time. And when you're looking at those things that take up your time, if they're not lining up with priorities, it's time to fix it. My laundry was not my priority. My kids were my priority. Reading books to them is my priority, and so that's what I had to tackle. So find out at your core, what are my priorities? And this is the toughest part, is learning to say some things. Look at your calendar. If it's gonna cut into that time, you told your son, you know what, honey, we're gonna go get ice cream on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And if you say you're gonna go get ice cream with your kid at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, hold on to it. You're gonna go do it. Don't let anything get in the way of that. Because there's one thing I noticed with this business in the beginning that I was making a huge mistake on, is I didn't set the boundaries on time. I was on all day long, and Facebook was my other time sucker. Aside from dishes and laundry, it was Facebook. And I was having fun, but it was also taking away from my husband, and I was stealing time from my kids. And I had to set my boundaries. And one of those was getting off of Facebook by 9 o'clock. That's my husband time. Except on Tuesdays, because that's Team Call Night. He knows that. So, but when your kids know, okay, at this time, mommy gets off work, she's done for a little while, I've got 2 hours to myself, or I've got 30 minutes to be with my kids, and they know it's consistent. That keeps them from creating resentment. Because I was starting to see that come up in my husband, as he felt like I had replaced him with this business, and I'm like, it's not what I want. I'm building this for him. Building this for my children. I want a legacy, and if I'm going to tear down my family in the process, something's got to be up. And so that's when I set time. I got my calendar, like I started planning out my meals. I don't do 30 trips to the grocery store. I've got 7 meals for the week. I get it all done in about an hour. And I try and get all my prep work done. On Thursday is actually my grocery shopping day. Laundry day is Monday. And I try and get all those things done, and I set myself up for success for the rest of the week. When laundry's done, I don't have to think about it on Monday. The kids have underwear all week long. I don't have to think about meals. Everything is right there, ready and waiting. So get your planner and write out, okay, these are my priorities. This is what we're gonna eat this week. And have it set and stick to it and say, okay, on Wednesday between 4 and 5 o'clock, I've got 1 hour, we can take the kids to the park and set time with them. Awesome.